What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series More Than Meets the Eye Collection, Gamer Edition, Elite Seeker, and Ground Soldier from Transformers Devastation. That was a mouthful. But moving in, before we take a look at the two figures that we get in this 2-pack, we will first take a look at the packaging that they come in. So on the front, 25 steps, there's your Elite Seeker, there's your Ground Soldier Studio Series Devastation, there's their names, More Than Meets the Eye Collection Hasbro on the side there. On this side of the box, you have the Elite Seeker with some more words. On this side, the Ground Soldier with some more words. On the back of the packaging, you have both of them in a screen grab from the Devastation game. You have some product shots there. Over here, you have a bio that reads, "These two Decepticons enjoy blowing things up and smashing them to pieces." There's their names. There's Devastation, Authentic, Hasbro. On the bottom, a barcode. On the top, their names, Devastation, More Than Meets the Eye, Takara Tomy, My Reflection, Hello, and that is it for the packaging. And one last thing to discuss before getting into the figures themselves, they do of course include a big fat instruction manual here with both of their pictures, Studio Series, Devastation, More Than Meets the Eye, their names, 8 and up, and on the back, Takara Tomy, Hasbro, yay for instruction. And moving to the figures themselves, here they are in their alt modes. Now I'm basically going to split this into 2 reviews and we'll alternate back and forth between. I'll make it obvious which figure we're talking about, obviously, because they'll be on screen. But we're going to start with the alt mode of the Ground Soldier. So he is a car, and it's a pretty cool looking car. But coming in close on the details, you can see on the front some nice silver headlights with some nice black here on the grille. A different color, almost a purple there on the hood with some nice painted windshield and windows. Very nice looking there. Back windshield is painted in black. Some red tail lights back here with some more black. The wheels all done in black. And you can see a Decepticon logo on each side. And there is the top. There's the bottom. And he can, of course, roll. And for the alt mode of the Elite Seeker, it is, of course, a jet. There it is. It's beautiful, but coming in close on the details, you can see the black there on the front. You have some nice gray throughout. More of that beautiful painting there on the windshields. I assume that's still what you would call it. A cockpit, I guess. But I guess it's a windshield. I don't know. I don't know planes. But coming down the side here, you can see Decepticon logos on each side here also. Some nice molded detailing throughout, but not a whole lot to talk about. There is the top, there is the bottom. He does not have any landing gears, unfortunately, and he cannot roll, so he can fly. And for accessories for the Ground Soldier, we only get one. He includes a little sword here, as you can see, with a black hilt and a beautiful silver blade, just done here. See, very nice. And basically how this stores is you have this post right here, and you have your port right there, and you can just plug that into the top of the car. Very, very elegant. And for the Elite Seeker, he gets 4 accessories. So bringing these first 2 in, the first 2 we get are, of course, the iconic Seeker blasters, just done here in a nice silver. So you get 2 of those, and you also get these 2 blades here, pretty much painted just how the Ground Soldier's sword was, with the black hilt and the beautiful silver blades. And all of this can, of course, store. Basically how you will store these blasters is you can just come here and plug them in. I keep calling them blasters. They have a name, no rays. I remembered, yay. But this one can plug into the other side here. Just plug that one in there also. And then as for these, you will just take that post right there and put them into that port right there. So you can just plug this one in on this side, plug this one in on this side, and overall not that terrible of storage because the no rays are where they should be and you can't really see the blades. So overall pretty good storage here on the Elite Seeker. Now running through some quick comparisons with the Ground Soldier. These are all Studio Series comparisons. First here he is with Gamer Edition Devastation Optimus Prime. So you can see how these 2 look. Obviously not in scale, but still look pretty cool. Here he is with Gamer Edition Devastation Wheeljack. So you can see how these 2 look together. Also looking pretty nice. And last but not least, here he is with Gamer Edition Sideswipe. So you can see how those 2 look together. Overall, all in scale other than Prime. And for the Elite Seeker, just running through the same exact comparisons pretty much. Here he is with Prime. So you can see how much bigger the jet is than the truck with Wheeljack. You can see how those 2 look together. And finally with Sideswipe, so you can see how all of the Devastation figures are looking together so far in their Studio Series forms. And I think that's about all to say for the alt modes here. They both look pretty cool. I think they turned out well, but we're going to go right into transformation, starting with, of course, the ground soldier. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just bring him in here, and you're going to want to come to this back section and pop it upwards. Like so. You can go ahead and fold these two wheels inside there like so, and that will also allow you to just pop this section forward and basically have that sitting like that. Now what we can do is untab the arms from the side. You can see there's a little slot right there and a tab there. Undo that and slide these arms out to the side. Do the same thing here, just slide them out to the side on that hinge, and then we can open up this section and pull out his head just like so. And basically this will slide in between these two pieces, so you want to make sure you get it all lined up, and it will just slide right in there. Well, maybe like so. And that's how you want that looking. Now for the lower body, we're just going to rotate at the waist 180 degrees. Math. Split the legs, come back here, and you're going to want to extend the legs like so, and then pull the feet down, and that's how you will want all of that looking. Same thing on the other side. Just extend the leg, bring the foot down, and that's how you want that looking. You can also bring that piece down a little there on the heel if you want to. But turning to the arms, you're just going to want to rotate so the elbows are facing forwards, and come in here and get these fists out. Now me personally, I like to use his sword to do this. I found it to be the easiest way. But basically just get his sword up in there and pull those hands out. Just be careful not to scratch the paint off of your sword. And just bring that fist out also. And now for some finishing touches, just come to the back here, and basically you see there are two purple tabs on each side, which will go into those slots down in there. So just bring this up. Now this hinge is a little tight on mine, so it makes me nervous sometimes, but just bring that up, and then you see there are two little grooves on each side and two tabs, and basically those will just line up also. And his head came undone, but there we go. And once you get all of that done, there is the ground soldier in his robot mode. And now turning to the Elite Seeker, the first thing we're going to want to do is come down here and just pull these two pieces downward like so. Then we can come up in here and undo these pieces and bring them forward like so. Same thing on the other side, just undo this piece, bring it up and forward. If it hasn't done it already, go ahead and untab these pieces back here, and that will allow you to extend the entire leg. And you will see there are two tabs revealed here that will go into those two slots there, so just make sure you line all that up and tab that in, and at that point you can split the legs. Now what you do with these pieces is basically just fold them back. They're just going to hang out there on the back of the leg, which isn't very elegant, but it isn't exactly not screen accurate. Bring the feet up here and the heels back. Same thing on this side. The lighting is terrible. This figure is dark. The light does not like it. But bring the foot up and the heel back. And now I'm going to raise the camera up slightly, and we will work on the upper body. So the first thing we want to do is crack open this section. You can see it's kind of just a groove right in there that tab goes into, but undo that and bring these arms outward like so. And then we're going to want to work on this cockpit section, so undo it back here and bring it forward, rotate it 180 degrees, and you see that is kind of going to work as a tab that will go down in this notch. You can kind of pull this skirt up to see where it's going to go right down in there. So just bring this piece down, line that all up, and then just tab that right in like so, and that's how you will want that looking. You can bring that piece back down. That was more just a visual, and then you're going to want to lock this whole section into place. So just lock everything back in, make sure those arms lined up. You will see this one actually did not. You will see there's a little groove right there that a tab back in here, that one right there, which you can't really see, is supposed to go into, but now you can kind of see how that tab went over top of that gray piece right in there. Still a little difficult to see just due to the lighting. My apologies, but I promise it's there. There you go. You can see it on that side, how that black tab goes over top of that gray piece. But finishing off the arms, just undo these pieces like so. Bring that forward and then extend the entire arm, and that slot right there is where that tab will now go. So just tab that right in, bring the fist down, and have everything oriented properly. Same thing on the other side. Undo this piece, maybe. There we go. Undo that piece. You will see it originally tabs in right there, but just swing this piece down, tab that back in, bring the fist down, straighten everything out, and the last things to do are bring these two pieces. I just angle them upwards like this because that's what I think looks best, and I'm pretty sure that's what the instructions say to do too. And the finishing touches are to just untab this piece here. Maybe. Once again, we're having a maybe situation where this figure does not like me very much. Just untab that. You can see that tab just goes down in there, and bring this back all the way. It will sit flush against the back. Make sure you have those pieces angled however you wish. And there you go. There is the Elite Soldier. No. Wow. Elite Seeker. I cannot speak English in robot mode. And after two pretty simple and straightforward transformations, you get pretty cool action figures here in robot mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at them both individually for the details. So starting with the ground soldier, coming in close, you can see the head sculpt is done nicely with a silver mouth plate and a black helmet with the red visor there. Nice Decepticon logo there, done in purple with, once again, that beautiful painting here on this new chest piece for robot mode. Coming down the body, some nice molded details all throughout. As you can see, pretty much just all the car parts in new places. You can see a little bit of hollow here on the inside of the forearm is quite unfortunate. But other than that, I think he comes together pretty well. Backpack-wise, he does have a little bit of a backpack hanging off there. But overall, I am pretty happy with the way this robot mode turned out. I think he looks pretty accurate to the game. And for the Elite Seeker, once again coming in close, you can see he is a cone head. He has the black there on the top with the silver faceplate and the red eyes with a pretty blank expression going on there, but he should be a blank expression. He's a Decepticon. Coming down the body, more of that paint that we saw there in alt mode. Some nice molded details all throughout with your little fans and whatnot going on. More there on the crotch plate, and coming down the legs, some more beautiful molded detailing. Now, unfortunately, I don't really like these pieces the way they stick out, but they do unveil. New Decepticon logos on each side there. The arms, nice molded detailing. Very much looking forward to the new Studio Series Seeker mold that we're getting later. I guess early next year, rather. But this one, it's okay. It does the job, but it could have some little improvements because he is kind of blocky, and like I said, these stick out way too far, and this cone section needs a new home, but overall does do a good job of showing what we saw in the game. Now for articulation, first for the ground soldier. The head, I think, might be on a ball joint because he can look up barely and down barely, and it can rotate a 360, but it is a little difficult to do just because this area kind of gets in the way. These shoulders can rotate a full 360. It can go up and down. You do get a swivel at the bicep and about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. The wrist can move in due to transformation. You do get a waist rotation. You get the legs kicking forward pretty high and kicking back not very far. As you can see, it kind of just starts hitting stuff, but you can get it back a little bit. And if you turn his waist, you can get it back a little bit more, but not much backward movement there. Now he can do a full split. You do get thigh rotation. You do get knee bend to a little less than 90, but if you want to untab his knee, you can get a lot more movement there. And last but not least, the ankles do not go side to side, but they can just have a little bit of a pivot. So overall, some decent articulation for the ground soldier. And for the Elite Seeker, the head can look up a little bit, down a little bit. It can rotate a full 360, but it is a little difficult to do. The arms can rotate a full 360 and move in and out. Rotation at the bicep. Over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. No wrist rotation, no hand opening. No waist rotation, which is very unfortunate. The legs can kick forward just that far and backward just that far. Outward, they can not do a full split. They can only do that much. You do get thigh rotation, knee bend, over 90 degrees there. And as far as the feet go, no rotation, no up and down. You just get the slightest little bit of ankle tilt. So overall, the Elite Seeker is pretty weak when it comes to articulation. And jumping back to the Ground Soldier, we can, of course, bring back in the accessory from Alt Mode. Now, if you want to store it, you can still plug it on back there. You can also plug it to the side of the arm if you want. But me, personally, I'm just going to have him wielding his sword because I think that looks pretty dag-on cool. And for the Elite Seeker, we can bring in all of the accessories that it came with, and they can all store, of course. These pieces, you have options. Can hold the null raise, but me personally, for screen accuracy, I just plug them into the shoulder here, like is done in most Transformers media. So I just plug them into the shoulders there. And as for the swords, I don't know. I guess you can kind of like plug them into the leg or back here, or there's one little port back there, so you can plug one of them. You can plug them into the back of the arm if you really want. You have all sorts of options. But once again, me personally, just gonna have my Elite Seeker wielding his swords. So just plug them into each hand, and there you go. That looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And now for some robot mode comparisons. We'll start with the Ground Soldier here. Here he is with Gamer Edition Devastation side swipes. You can see how they look. With Wheeljack, if he will stand straight. So you can see how they look. With Prime, so you can see how he looks with the leader of the Autobots. And last but not least, here he is with a CG image of how he appeared in the Devastation game, so you can see how close they got this to the source material. And just comparing the Elite Seeker to the same three figures, here he is with Sideswipe, with Wheeljack, who doesn't want to stand for some reason. Oh, he's doing the splits. With Wheeljack, with Optimus Prime. So you can see how tall he is. Of course, Optimus Deluxe. He is a Voyager, so he should be a little bigger. And last but not least, with a CG image of how he appeared in the Devastation game. So you can once again see how close they got this figure to the source material. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series More Than Meets the Eye Collection, Gamer Edition, Elite Seeker, and Ground Soldier from Transformers Devastation. And overall, this isn't necessarily the greatest 2-pack of all time, but you do get two decent figures that are both fun to mess with. Out of the two, I personally prefer the Ground Soldier just because I like the way he looks in Alt Mode and Robot Mode more, and personally prefer his transformation to the Elite Seeker, who has a little bit of clunkiness on the legs with those wings. The big cockpit just hanging off the back is also an eyesore. And overall, this Seeker mold is just due a remake, which it will be getting in early 2026 with the Thundercracker they're coming out with. Can't wait to get that figure because that new mold looks beautiful, but this one is certainly a little outdated and needs a rerun. But overall, two decent figures. I'm not going to say they're the greatest figures of all time. I would personally recommend this pack if you can get it on sale. I don't think this is worth all the money that they asked for it originally, but I got it on sale. So if you can find it on sale, I think it's worth a pickup just because it'll give you two more Transformers in your collection that are fun to mess with, at least, even though they might not be the greatest looking things of all time or the most popular characters. They are at least enjoyable figures. So if I had to rate each of them, if I had to rate the Elite Seeker, he's going to get a 7 out of 10. So not amazing, but still an enjoyable figure. And for the Ground Soldier, I'll give him a 7.5, a little better, and just my personal preference out of the two you get in this set. So this has been my review for the Elite Seeker and Ground Soldier from Transformers Devastation. I will be back soon with more reviews. We have more Age of the Primes reviews and Blocky's reviews to dive into. Not sure what'll be first, but they will be coming soon. So don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I will see you soon with those reviews, and until then, roll out. Peace.